Hey there folks, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining me. We are going to talk about an incredibly important issue for real estate. Whether you are a landlord or a tenant, it's important for many people to consider how to be a good landlord. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we got some valuable tips for you today. So grab your notepads or just write a question in the comments, but let's get started. Choosing the right tenant is the first part to making you be a good landlord. You want to find a perfect match for your house and the person. So the importance of tenant selection, you should have a program in place to make sure this is a smooth transition. Things to consider when you're putting a tenant in a house: our application covers rental history, whether it's houses that they've rented before, or maybe it's just their mom's in place, maybe it's something that they bought and they've decided they don't want to be a homeowner anymore. So where they've lived before, and we also need to know their employment information as well as verify their income to make sure that they can afford the house by our standards. And we also do a credit and criminal background check. Now with credit, we don't have a minimum credit score because usually if you're renting, you don't have a great credit score. So we don't expect you to have perfect credit or anything, but we do look at things that you haven't paid. If you're not paying your utilities or things like that, not medical, not student loans, we're not going to necessarily kind of look at that, but things that you would be paying if you're in a house. So utilities or other rental programs, those are the things that we're going to look at. With criminal, we don't have anyone with felonies to do with harm to other people or to do with any kind of drug use. So those are things that we have red flags on our applications. So we want to make sure that we put someone in the home that's going to be great from the start. Sometimes they look really good on paper, but they aren't great tenants, and sometimes they look really bad on paper and they're really good tenants. So of course you want to consider your gut feeling as well as what the actual application says. So now that you've got the right person in the property, you need to step up as landlord and maintain the property. You want to treat your property as an investment because at some point you're probably going to be selling it and get the money back that you put into it. But as you're maintaining it, you want to make sure that it's fixed regularly and that it's fixed promptly. So when the tenant reports an issue, that you get taken care of right away so it doesn't cause more issues down the road. You also want to make sure that your tenant is doing their part too by keeping the property clean, the lawn maintained, changing the furnace filters. And sometimes to do those, you need to have routine inspections because not always do renters know what they're supposed to be doing at the house, even if we remind them. So it is important to both the landlord, maybe the property manager, and the tenant be working together to make sure that the house is maintained, because happy tenants stay in place and they treat the property with care, which means that your investment is greater because the house is well cared for and you're getting a good return on that investment. Clear communication is crucial to any relationship, and a tenant-landlord relationship is not any different. If you put a property manager in the middle of that, it's even more important that all parties are communicating with each other. Be approachable and responsive. So if the tenant's asking for repairs, then the property manager or you can get a repairman out of the property to fix the repair and get it back in working order so that the tenant is happy in their home. Make sure that the tenant knows how to contact you, especially in an emergency situation. Maybe you have a different number that you want them to call if it is an emergency, or maybe it's the same number that they call if it's a regular repair, but make sure it's clear where they should contact you because probably with an emergency, it's not during normal business hours. So you do want them to have an alternate way to reach you if there is an emergency. You want to make sure that you're building your trust with your tenant and have a positive relationship throughout the tenancy. Understand the law. They can be a maze. So I understand that it's law, it's legal regulation, so you may not want to sit down and read the landlord and tenant handbook. We have a copy in our office if you ever want a copy as a landlord or a tenant to make sure that you're in compliance with the law. But you do want to know what is true for the state you own the property in. Now Arkansas, I'm sure, is different than many other states. Arkansas is a very landlord strong state. So there could be very different laws than a state that is more tenant strong. So ensure you know thoroughly or work with someone who does know the law. That's why it is a great idea to work with a property manager. More than likely they're in the state that they're managing the property with, and so they better understand the laws, probably because they're not working with multiple states or even cities. And you do want to make sure that you treat the tenants fairly and avoid any pitfalls, and this is very helpful if you know the law so that you can make sure that you're following the law throughout their tenancy. On top of maintenance of the property, you want to make sure that you handle any conflicts that you have during your landlord-tenancy relationship. Conflict happens in any relationship, and it's going to happen in this relationship too. Make sure you approach it with a cool head and try to set yourself back as much as possible and not focus on how it's attacking you, but make sure that your point is conflict resolution. Approach it professionally and make sure that you have the facts and everything that is the problem with the issue, and make sure you listen to both sides. The best thing is to have documentation in writing. I try to have everything in writing every day so that when an issue does come up, that it's clear where the issue really lies and what we need to go back and change so it doesn't happen again. Setting a fair rental price is essential to being a good landlord. You won't want to jack your price up so high and not maintain your home that you seem like a slumlord, but you also don't want to price your rental so low that people wonder what's wrong with it. It's kind of like pricing the house. So the best thing to do is research the local market. Again, this is where a property manager is very important because they know the local market. They know what the prices of other houses are, so they can help you price it right so that you can get it rented quickly and keep that tenant in place. You do want to consider the property size as well as the condition. Obviously, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath is going to rent for more than a 2-1 or a 1-1. And if something is out in the country or it has additional features like an outbuilding or a garage, then that makes it more valuable as well. So do keep all those factors in mind when you're figuring out what to price your rental at. But you do want to keep your rent competitive and ensure that it stays occupied, has a steady income, and that would give you less damage on the home because the tenant is going to feel like they're getting a valuable asset by paying a reasonable rent, and they'll want to stay there longer if they know that you aren't charging too much and you maintain the home. Providing essential amenities sets your property apart from others available in the area. You can add value and convenience by having the utilities on, like electric, water, sewer, right when your tenant moves in, so they don't have to switch anything over. They can move in, use it. We usually like to put limits on that because we don't want them to get crazy, taking long showers, long baths, having the AC on with the windows open, things like that. So we do recommend limits on utilities. Another feature you can add is additional appliances. Normally, our units come with a stove and refrigerator, but if you had a dishwasher, washer, dryer, microwave, all those additional features are going to make it beneficial to the tenant and make them more likely to pay more and stay longer. You can also do things like have a house fully furnished with beds and couches and chairs and tables, so they don't have to bring anything but their food and clothes. This is more like a vacation rental, but sometimes we just have people that want to stay for 30 days, and that doesn't really make sense to move all your furniture in and out. You can add additional things like internet, pest service, anything that's additional benefit above the standard house, move your stuff in, is going to attract and retain quality tenants, and that's our goal, to get the rent from the tenant and maintain the property. And there you have it, my friends, a roadmap to becoming an exceptional landlord. Remember, it's not just about collecting rent, it's about creating a comfortable and safe living environment for your tenants. Your investment will greatly appreciate with routine maintenance and consistent occupancy. Since you've made it this far, why not go all the way? If you found these tips helpful, make sure to reach out for your next investment property, property management services, or if you're looking to rent a property. Otherwise, check out this video, Should I Buy a Vacation Home? Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.